Broadcasting live from the Roswell Infinity Studio, located inside Digital Ignition, where North Atlanta startups take off. It's time for North Fulton Business Radio.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome to North Fulton Business Radio from the Roswell Infinity Studio here in Digital Ignition. I am merely Mike Salmon alongside the world-famous John Ray. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Mike. You're great for my ego, man.
That's my job, part of the job.
That's why I keep showing up every Tuesday.
Talk to great business leaders here in the North Fulton area and help build John's ego. So,
well, 1 out of 2 isn't bad, right?
Well, no, we're building the eagle, and now let's meet some great business leaders.
I'd rather do that.
All right, John, our third guest here on the program is Wendy Brant. She's the Chief Marketing Officer with Homeowner Management Services. Good morning, Wendy.
Good morning.
Homeowner Management Services. Tell us what your company does.
Sure. Well, basically, we manage all the HOAs, condominiums, townhome communities that you see all over Atlanta. That's particularly all over North Atlanta. So every corner, practically, you'll see something of that nature, or even small office parks. All of those different associations, they're really businesses, and someone has to manage them. So that's what we do.
So you work with the HOAs,
yes,
and you manage them. When you say manage, what does that mean? What do you actually do?
Sure. Well, actually, all of these different associations, they're all run by a board of directors. So what happens is they're actually their own little democracies, if you will. So these businesses, they elect a board of directors. Hopefully some are willing to participate. As an unpaid, normally, adventure. But basically there's a board of directors, and that board of directors would select the management company if they so desired. Now, some of them are self-managed. There's a lot of concerns that go along with that choice, but the vast majority of them are managed. And so what that means is we would handle all the day-to-day, everything from collecting the dues, because all associations have assessments, to creating the budget, offering web portals so that the homeowners could go in and make payments and find their own governing documents and all that. We also have maintenance technicians on staff. We have relationships with vendors all over the city. So anything and everything that they would need in terms of maintenance or on-site personnel, we have. We have a very special program to handle leasing. So if they wanted us to monitor who's leasing, whether or not they're above their cap, we can handle that. We have the ability to do credit reporting on those who don't pay their assessments, which is highly motivating, as you can imagine, for people to pay. So it's really it's quite a vast array of services that we provide. I always tell people, homeowner management or association management, it's certainly not rocket science or brain surgery, but there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of things to know, a lot of different pitfalls that you can get into if you're not aware. So that, in a nutshell, is what we do. So
let me make sure I get this right. I'm a little slower than John, and I apologize for that. So if I'm an HOA and I hire you out to manage everything, so if something's wrong at the pool, or something needs to be fixed at the tennis court, or lawn maintenance, or whatever,
that's it.
We're hiring you to kind of take that off our plate. You do all that.
That is correct. The board of directors makes the ultimate decisions. They have the authority. So let's say your tennis courts needed to be resurfaced. We would provide bids for them, and then the board of directors would select the bid that they would want. So they're in control. And the way that our company works specifically is we have complete transparency. So the board of directors is able to see everything that we're doing, every bill that we're paying, et cetera. So even though the board's in control, we're doing the day-to-day activities and acting as advisors for them as well.
Now, Wendy, you kind of chuckled when you mentioned it's sometimes hard to get people to serve on homeowner associations, right? Because
yes.
You're dealing with a lot of different issues.
Yes.
And I would guess what you really do ultimately is for those people that are willing to stand up and represent their neighborhood, you really make their life a lot easier, right?
Yes, and protect them as well.
Sure.
And I do mean protect them. It's funny because when I hear people have been elected as president, I wonder, should I offer congratulations or condolences?
Right.
It is. I wonder sometimes as well why we don't have a reality TV camera following us some of the time. But yes, if they stand up and they're willing to help make the big decisions, we're there to protect them. We're there to educate them. We're there to make sure that their money is well spent. And there really are, as I said, there's a lot of moving parts. But what I find interesting about it actually is there's a lot of law involved in this. It is a business. It's subject to the Georgia Nonprofit Code. It's a not-for-profit corporation. There's governing documents, which everyone's probably familiar with the words covenants and bylaws. But what most people don't realize is every single solitary community that you see in the city has a different version. So that makes it very interesting. People think, well, I lived in Roswell in an HOA and I could lease my home out there. If I move to Alpharetta, I'm sure I can do it here too. It doesn't work that way. They're all different. So understanding what are basically legal documents, we help with that. The communities are subject to the FHA regulations. So a lot of communities have gotten sued because they have boards that perhaps aren't managed, and they're out there on their own with varying degrees of experience and education in this area. No disrespect to their, in most cases, they're coming at it with the best of intentions, but they're just not experienced. They're not familiar with what they can and cannot do, and they're not even familiar with the fact that they're subject to the FHA. So there's really there's a lot of pitfalls, a lot of problems, a lot of lawsuits that can be avoided if you have the proper guidance. One of the things we pride ourselves on, not only are we as highly educated as we can be, and what I mean by that is Homeowner Management Services is actually an accredited association management company. There's only 5 companies in the entire state of Georgia that hold themselves up to that standard. It's the highest possible standard. There's only 5 of us. So when you start going out and saying, okay, we want to be professionally managed, if you're looking for A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, if you're looking for AAMC accredited, if you're looking for a 24-year history in Atlanta, you may only have us to look at if those are your 3 top most important, items. But we also offer board training classes that are complimentary for all our clients. So we have right around the corner from here, actually about 3 miles, we have a very large classroom where, we host the boards of directors and make sure that they do, in fact, understand the environment that they're in. That they're out there in an unpaid position, and our job is to make their life as easy as possible and as rewarding as possible. But we do protect them. We do very much protect them as much as we can.
Sure. So I think you may have alluded to a few of these in what you just said, but so what are some of the common mistakes that associations make, and how do you help your clients prevent those mistakes?
Sure. Well, over and above the legal environment that's a concern, budgeting errors are something that we see a lot. You have to look at your assets. You're talking about an asset that's worth millions and millions of dollars, whether it's a condominium or whether there's amenities in an HOA or any of that. These assets have lifespans. They need new roofs. They need new tennis court resurfacing. We've seen condominiums that were self-managed where the water bill wasn't paid. That's a problem, and they start having issues with the city of Atlanta and the water's going to be shut off. So there's a lot of very, very serious problems that can come about when those budgets aren't being scrutinized from a business perspective. Looking at it, we're really looking at it from the point of view of the value of the asset. It's not as though we're just, looking at it from the point of view as, well, do we want to raise the dues this year or not? Well, you have to start from the beginning and see, what does this property need? What does this asset need over the course of time? And so we want to avoid hitting up the homeowners with large bills because there was no preparation, there was no reserves funded. So that's another very big error. Budgeting is a big concern. It's something that we help a lot with. Those are 2 of the biggest, I would say.
You mentioned, and we're talking with Wendy Brant with Homeowner Management Services here on North Fulton Business Radio. You mentioned the A+ rating. You mentioned you've been in business for 24 years, so you have the experience. What can the homeowners that using your services right now, what can they expect in 2018 and moving forward? What are some of the bigger plans as you move forward?
Sure. Well, we're really priding ourselves on kind of being even more to the homeowner than any management company has been before. And what I mean by that is we do, in fact, too, have an app. We're trying to be as technologically savvy as we can be, make it as easy for the homeowner to get to pay their dues or find information as possible. We're working on some savings programs for the homeowners so that when they go out to buy anything they might buy otherwise anyway, that they have the ability to get a discount because we represent an enormous buying group. Our buying group is tens of thousands of homeowners that we communicate with and that we touch, and that they're a strong buying group. So kind of leveraging that. One of the examples that I could give you for that is we work with a broker that helps negotiate cable access agreements. And this broker has brought millions and millions of dollars to the city of Atlanta from Charter and Comcast. Does that association have the ability to essentially get a check for cable access? And these are non-exclusive, so the homeowners can use anybody that they want. So really becoming much more than just I would say the company that sends you the invoice and tells you to put your trash can away. There's a lot more that we can be, and we're excited to do that from a communication point of view, from a technology point of view, and even from a cost savings point of view moving forward.
So, Wendy, who do you want to hear from, and where can they find out more information?
Sure. Well, the board of directors is definitely who we need to hear from. So whoever is running the communities at the time. And our phone number is 770-667-0595. And then, of course, if you want to visit us online, it's HMS-inc.net. So that's how they can find us.
Great stuff, Wendy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Wendy Brant, Homeowner Management Services here on North Fulton Business Radio. Want to thank all three of our guests, Wendy, also Samaya Adam with Team Logic IT Alpharetta, and Brad Freed with College Nannies, Sitters, and Tutors for joining us here on the program. A quick reminder, you can listen to the show anytime you want, 24/7, 365 days of the year. Even on Christmas Day, if you want.
That's
by
right.
going to northfultonbusinessradiox.com. The shows are on there all the time. And also, you can download us on iTunes, subscribe to us on iTunes, actually, and follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and all that social media stuff.
We've got it all. We're just like Waffle House, right? We're always open.
Always open. Exactly. All right. Well, John, thank you very much. Let's say we do it again next time.
I look forward to it, man.
All right. Happy holidays to you and everybody else out there as well.
You too, pal.
For John and a great job behind the scenes with Trey, I'm Mike, and we'll see you next time right here on North Fulton Business Radio.